Welcome to the Profile Business Radio Network, broadcasting from the Profile at 375 Water Street in beautiful downtown Vancouver. Brought to you by Mr. Taxes. You're listening to KnighTalk with Allan Knight.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to KnighTalk with Allan Knight every Thursday here at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at the beautiful Profile, downtown Vancouver. The main sponsor of our program, the Profile Business Radio Network. The Profile is a co-working office space in beautiful Gastown. If you've never been in Vancouver, you got to visit us at 375 Water Street, downtown Gastown in Vancouver. And with us, as usual, is our great producer, Mr. Mike Zahora. Mike, how you doing today?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. How come I'm on TV and you're not on TV? Why? I mean, you're a good-looking guy, right?
Well, I got all this stuff in front of me that I got to control.
Is that why you?
Yeah.
Okay, so they put, where's Kevin? Where's the owner of the Profile? The good-looking guy, but he finks out every week. He's too busy.
He can sit in.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well. Feel good this week. Life is good. The rain is out there, but who cares? We're alive and well, and things are good.
Exactly.
This week's going to be a little bit different. Normally we have a guest on our show. Today it's going to be more focusing on coaching. So I'm going to respond to some of the most pressing questions that have come in this week. That's what we're going to do, Mike. Okay. Now, anytime you want to jump in and you want to comment or ask a question, feel free to do that. I'm going to start out with but before we get into the theme of the week, I always like to ask you a little bit about technology. And this whole matter of YouTube and Google and all that has come up a lot. Mm-hmm. And I want to ask you this question. And people ask me this. A lot of the younger generation are turning to Android as opposed to Apple phones. Okay? That's what I hear.
It's pretty close, but go on. Close. Yeah.
You have told me that Google purchased YouTube. Correct?
Correct, yeah.
And they've also purchased Motorola. And so Google is very proactive in a lot of different ways. Now, is there a kind of a theme here that more and more people are going to turn to Google, Android, that whole process, as opposed to Apple, or it's always going to be sort of equal and it depends on what people like?
You know, it's going to be depending on what people like, really. You know, Apple makes great products, and so does like Samsung, and using the Android operating system. So it's good to have competition.
Right. But the fact that Google bought YouTube, how significant is that?
Well, I mean, Google's owned YouTube for quite a while.
Yeah.
And it's integrated into pretty much everything that they do. Their search, their Google Plus. It's a big part of their business.
Right. So there'll be room for both, basically, is what you're saying.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because I was thinking I have an iPhone, and about 5 people that I met this week have Androids. And it's causing me to think, do I want to go that direction? But I'm a little nervous about it, too. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't be nervous about it. Apple's going to be around for a long time, I think.
They ain't going anywhere, are they?
They're not going anywhere. And I also, they're all good phones. Really, they are.
Cool. This afternoon, I want to talk about, my theme for the week is about anger. There's a lot of stuff in the news about Oscar Pistorius shooting that young lady, gun control, cyberbullying, bullying, killings, the whole thing in the States with the violence that goes on. And it's really caused me to look at the whole area of anger. Okay. And of course, I deal with that, day to day. And the thing that I want to say is that I think it's sad that our whole school system doesn't teach from very young years in grade school, high school, how to manage your anger and how to manage yourself. The way I see it, Mike, if you're angry and if that anger is expressed outward, it's because most of the time you're angry at yourself. If a person accepts and likes themselves, there's no need to. If I like me, I don't need to put you down. If I like me and I feel good about myself, I don't have to lash out at you or blame you. And there's so much blaming and sort of projecting onto other people. And I think it's really sad. And until our school system, right from a young age, teaches that, we're going to have a lot of problems. What do you think?
Well, I think it's, if you don't like yourself, you already have this negative mindset.
Correct.
right? And with a negative mindset, it's just going to perpetuate from there,
Yeah.
right? So, angry at yourself, angry at the world, angry at everybody else, and you lash out.
That's exactly it. So it's very sad because when you see this on the news, all they talk about is who got killed. They never say, we're going to take a more in-depth look as to why all this is happening and what the solutions are. Drives me crazy. That's my rant of the week.
Okay.
We're just going to cover about 4 or 5 questions for some of the best email questions that I have this week. The first one is from Bob. Bob says, I have been in my own business for over 3 years now. I love it, but find it sometimes overwhelming. I thought I was getting out of the 9-to-5 job. Any advice? Welcome to the entrepreneurial club, Bob. You thought you were getting onto the 9-to-5. What you really got into 7-to-7 job. No, I know that I hear this a lot. Obviously, many of us get out of the 9-to-5 kind of daily grind because we want to be free. We want to get into our own business. We want to promote a product or service we believe in. We want to work with people that we enjoy working with. The reality is, and I remember reading a book, Mike, I don't know if you remember this book years and years ago by Michael Gerber, The E-Myth. You read that book?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, good book. And in it said why most entrepreneurs, there's millions of people every year getting into their own businesses, and why most are either mediocre or fail. And a big part of it is that people don't build their own business the way they would a franchise. And the way I also view it, and in that book, it also talked about the fact that people are not developing the skill sets that they need to be successful. So as far as any advice, Bob, the thing is, I don't know you well enough to know why you are getting overwhelmed, but I'll just go over some key things that are really important. Number one, you need to be really clear on your goals and the vision that you have of your company. You need to have a very strong plan of action. You need to have a warrior-like determination to do whatever it takes to be successful. You need to have a mental toughness, a mindset that is going to propel you into consistent action and effective communication. And you need to, at all times, be building your relationship building skills and, of course, some of your marketing strategies. Those are just some of the keys, but that is extremely crucial. Those are extremely crucial elements to be able to build your success as an entrepreneur, for what it's worth. Number 2, from Suzanne. I am a person who has a lot of trouble saying no to others. I know that these people like me, but I feel like my good nature is sometimes taken for granted. Your thoughts? Wow, I meet a lot of people like you, Suzanne. I call them the people pleaser caregiver types, where we sometimes go overboard. It's wonderful to be caring. It's wonderful to be giving. I certainly want to be that way and do my best to be that way. But unfortunately, many of us have gone overboard where we go too far to that side where we're compensating and we're trying to be so nice to people. Part of the reason is because we're afraid of getting rejected. We're afraid of creating conflict. And a lot of it triggers back to how we feel about ourselves. If we feel too much insecurity, if we feel too much timidity, if we're overly preoccupied with what others think about us, we're going to go so much overboard to try to please them that at the end of the day, we won't be pleasing anyone because people will take advantage of our good nature. And at the end of the day, we're not going to please anyone. So the key is we all need to own our own boundaries. I see this in my office every day. People come into my office and most people are way too hard on themselves. Most people have put themselves on the back burner. And when you do that, you're going to get the flood coming into the vessel and the vessel's going to sink down with it. You need to shore up your boundaries. You need to own your own power. You need to take some quality time for yourself. We all need to do that, whether it's to exercise, to relax, to have a good time, to build up your inner muscles so that you feel good about who you are. And then with that inner power, with that personal power, you come back into all your personal relationships. And when you do that in a balanced way, you're not going to feel so needful to say yes. So if Mike Zahora calls me up and says, by the way, here's a perfect example, Mike. You called me up the other day, say, can I come to an event that you invited me to? Remember that?
Yep.
And what was my first answer?
Yes.
My first answer was yes, I was going to go. But then some things happen. I didn't have much sleep the night before. I was tired. I knew I had to get up 5 o'clock the next day. So I simply called Mike and I said, Mike, I'd love to come, but here's the reality. I have to say no. Did I feel good about saying no? No. I wanted to be there to support him, but I had to own my own personal boundaries. So Suzanne, hope that helps you. On to the next. We have a question from Francis here. I am a life coach. I love what I do, but I want to grow more exponentially. I can only take on so many clients. How do I expand? Well, that's the case among a lot of people that are either consultants, let's say life coaches, consultants, anyone in the coaching training industry often finds themselves therapists, people who help a finite number of people, right? So if I'm your therapist, Mike, which, you can hire me anytime.
Anytime.
If I'm your therapist, I can only take on maybe 15, 20 people every week. So there's a finite number of clients. However, if I want to expand beyond that, I have some choices. Number one, I could decide to write a book. Because if I have content through the coaching that I do, I could write a book and I could sell that book. If I want, I could hire Mike Zahora, who could help me create videos. Am I right? If I have content?
That's correct.
If I have content, I could create videos and upload them to YouTube and upload them to my website and direct people to my website. So now not only do I have 15 or 20 clients as a life coach, but I also am earning extra money by sharing the wisdom that I have, by sharing the content that I've accumulated over the years teaching these people. Those are just some ways you could leverage your time. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Right. So, for example, let's say I'm a life coach and I want to create content. How would you help me to upload that and make money from it, monetize it?
Well, I mean, the first part is actually recording your content, right? Getting it on in video and getting it ready in like small digestible chunks so people don't have to sit there for half an hour or whatever, right? Just do small little chunks and just start uploading them on a regular basis. People will start watching, they'll subscribe, and then just continue and sort of snowballs from there.
Okay, but if you're uploading content on YouTube and people are watching it, it's still not being monetized.
Well, again, depending on what you want that content to do. Do you want people to watch your content and then go to your website? Do you want to make money off your content on YouTube, or do you want to make money on your website?
So you have a lot of options.
There's a lot of options.
Do you help people with their strategy?
Oh, of course.
Okay, so my recommendation is you call Mike, because he'll be able to help you, MikeZahora.com. By the way, your website is Mike Zahora. Michael Zahora.
No, Mike.
Mike Zahora.
That's Zahora.
Okay, and they can request a little evaluation
there's a
with you.
contact form on that site.
Cool. Those are some of my ideas. There's all kinds of ways now with the internet available to us. Content is king, as they say on the internet. Turn your wisdom into the ability to reach a lot of people. And, sometimes you're reaching people and it's not just for the sake of making money. We do this radio show. We don't really make money from the radio show, but it's like a sophisticated blog. I'm just sharing my content, my wisdom with the audience. They then find out about me. Maybe they come to my website. Maybe they'll buy my book. But the point is, a lot of times we just want to share the wisdom and content that we have with the world.
Yeah, or maybe they contact one of our sponsors.
Correct. Absolutely. So I hope that helps, my friend Francis. Off to the next question by Brooke. I have a lot of trouble sizing up people. Is there such a thing about certain personality types? Well, I'm sure there are a lot of studies which indicate a lot of personality types, Brooke, but I'll just share something that has been very helpful to me in understanding clients, potential clients, people in general. And I divide them into different categories. One would be someone who's timid and shy. So when I meet someone who's timid and shy, I take into consideration that there's fear. And so I have to approach those kind of people in a little bit of a different way. I have to be careful about not being too aggressive, too pushy, be appreciative of the fact that they might be shy and fearful. I might be more soothing. With a guy like my voice that has a strong voice, I might lower the tone of my voice so that it's more soothing. I might ask them a few questions, engage them in a very social, relaxed conversation, and in stages create a nice rapport so that over a period of time they develop a trust and a confidence in me, and then we might go to the next level of wherever our conversation is. So that's someone who's timid and shy. Then we have other people that tend to be scatterbrained. You ever talk to someone like that, Mike, where they're all over the place?
Oh, yeah.
You ask them questions, they start on this track, and then they go to that track, and they go to this track, and back to that track. Well, in that case, you have to be proactive in your listening. There's something called active listening. Passive listening is go, just listen to everybody, right? Proactive listening is to be aware of who you are speaking with and to respond appropriately. So if I'm speaking to Joe Blow or Jane Doe, and they're going all over the track, I might have to stop them and say, whoa, 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 Jane, back up, back up. My business partner used to say, back up, back up. I hate when he said that. Back up, hold it. Let's get back on track. Let's get back on track. Let's get back on track. You have to participate and cooperate in the conversation with them to help them stay on track for their sake and for your sake, so you're not wasting a lot of time. And they're learning to be more focused in their communication. Then you have Mr. and Mrs. Sad and Lonely. Mr. and Mrs. Sad and Lonely, some people might be, you feel like they're down. They're not feeling too good. You sense someone might be a little bit depressed or they're going through a struggle. Now, you're not a therapist necessarily, but you can play little therapist. In that when I meet someone like that, rather than laying a trip on them about anything going on in my life, I might say, I play Columbo a little bit and say, hey, you don't look yourself. What's going on? And then if they open up, you'd be amazed how people, when they start to express themselves and what's going on in their life, all of a sudden the energy changes. And when that energy starts to change, then you have the ability to go back and forth in a much more interactive, cooperative, kind of uplifting way. So that's another type of person. Then you've got Mr. and Mrs. Macho, someone who you meet and they have a big ego. And sometimes you got to feed their ego a little bit to connect with them, because if Mr. Macho is on the phone, Mr. Macho, hey, did you watch the football game last night? And Mr. Macho is all over you. Sometimes with Mr. and Mrs. Macho, you have to respond assertively so that they respect you. Good morning, Mr. Captain, Army Captain. And they will relate to you, and sometimes feeding their ego. Wow, that's a wonderful diploma. You're from Notre Dame University. That's really, wow, that's fantastic. There are things you could do to sort of connect with Mr. and Mrs. Macho. Those are just some of the personality types. There's probably a whole bunch of others that we don't have time to go over, but hope that will help you and give you food for thought. Last question. Mike, are you okay with that?
Oh, I'm fine with that.
You're fine with that? What are you doing? Taking my picture, or what are you doing?
Oh, we're shooting some video here.
That's video too. Oh,
That's
my
video
God.
too.
Should have got dressed. I should put on some makeup. You don't no makeup when I come into the studio. Last question before we wrap up. Brent, what are the top 5 things for an entrepreneur to follow? Wow, there's probably 25 things, but we'll go over a couple of them. I talked about these things before. Number 1, have a clear vision. If you're scattered, unclear, right from the core, you're going to be off track. So it's really important. Crystallize what your company is, what the products are. How do you benefit people so that you can articulate that in a very clear way? Then have a plan of action, some kind of plan of action. When you got vision, you want to have an action that's really clear. Then you want to have a great mental attitude. It's extremely important. Remember that everything you're building in your business comes from the inside out. If you're walking around stressed out, if you're walking around worried, if you're walking around insecure, if you're afraid of success, if you're afraid of rejection, all that energy, that toxic energy, is going to flow through in everything you do and all the relationships that you're trying to build in your business. So having a great mental attitude is very important. Relationship building skills, crucial to building a business. Whether you're a leader, whether you're in sales, whether you're in customer service, whether you're cooperating, setting up joint ventures, it's extremely important to master the art of your relationship building skills, your listening skills, your presentation skills, and all the important networking skills. These skills are critical for you to connect and build long-term lasting relationships. And the last thing would be effective marketing strategies. Obviously, we're all in business. We need to have strategies, whether online and offline, and not everyone uses the same strategies. You know, whether some of us might need a lot of social media right now, others might need less social media, and maybe social media down the road. So make sure you speak to an expert who helps you with a really, really good strategic plan. So those are my top questions of the week. Any last comments, my friend?
No.
No?
Nope.
That's it?
That's it. I don't know what.
Well, we want to. I hope that helped you. I hope you learned to communicate better than blobbering like I just did. Hope that helped. Just to wrap up, every week you get KnighTalk, and we just recently uploaded. We're doing it. Is this live, by the way, Mike?
No.
It's not live yet, but it will go live, right, at some point.
Yeah, we're going to put it up on YouTube.
Okay. Is this actually going to go up on YouTube or not?
Eventually, yes.
Eventually. Okay. But it's on Blog Talk.
It's on Blog.
It's on Blog Talk. We want to thank everybody for listening in. Just a reminder, every week we come to you via the Profile Network here in downtown Vancouver. You can also access my website at www.allanknight.com, ALLANKNIGHT. You could Twitter us at KnighTalk, KNIGHTALK, KnighTalk. And Allan at allanknight.com. If you have any questions, if you want to access my communication tips, go to allanknight.com and just register free. You'll get some free communication and speaking tips. And we wish everyone a fantastic week, and we look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care.